Hello and welcome back to Rule the Game. In today's video, I'll show you how to play Pirate Tales by Benno Thönelt and Kucharski, published by Skellig Games. It's a game for 2 to 4 players. It is recommended starting at the age of 8, and it lasts for about 45 to 60 minutes. If you want to see how to set up this game, then stay tuned until after this section with the hints for the first game. But first we're going to do game objectives and of course how to play this game. And if you want to skip ahead to certain sections, always just check below here in the timeline. You should see all the sections there. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to my channel too? I'd love to see you back here. But now let's get started with what the objective is of Pirate Tales.
Rule the game.
Pirate Tales is of course all about treasure. And so you're going to try to collect the biggest treasure of all. You might get some of these red gems. They're worth 10 points. You might also get some of these blue gems. They're worth 5 points. And then you might get some gold coins. Each one of them is worth 1 point. Whoever collects the most of these treasures, the most of the gems and the coins, wins the game. In case of a tie, we'll check on the board here who has moved their boat the furthest. If there's still a tie after the boat, then whoever has the most black dice will win. And if that's still a tie, then whoever has the most red dice will win. And that's already it about the game objective. Now let's have a look at how to play this game. Pirate Tales is a turn-based game. On your turn, you'll get the chance to go on an adventure while everybody bets for or against you to succeed or fail on this adventure. If you succeed with the adventure, you'll find a bunch of treasure, and whoever bet on you will also gain points. And then somebody else will do their adventure. First on your turn, you get to decide if you want to buy some more adventure cards. These will go into your hand. You might already have some cards in your hand, you might not. But if you pay 1 coin, you can get another additional card from the deck. If you pay 3 coins, you can get 2. And if you pay 6 coins, you can get 3 cards. These cards will help you later to survive your adventure. Once you've got the cards, then it's time for you to set out your cards for your adventure. Now I assume here that I'm the red player. What I do now is that I open up cards here and I decide how many I want to open up, but you have to know that the last card that you put out will be one of these treasure cards, and the treasure card has to be at least as far out as your boat is. So if my red boat is here, I can't stop yet. I have to put out at least one more adventure card, and then I can decide if I want to have the 3, the 5, or the 7 treasure card here. The numbers here show you how difficult it will be to survive this adventure. At this moment now, I can stop my adventure by placing a treasure card here. That would be it then, and I could start my adventure. However, I'm going to push my luck here, so I'll put another adventure card right here, and only then will I put one of the treasure cards. Now, as you can see, there are kraken arms around these fields right here. And so when you end up going into the kraken territory, you'll have to take a kraken card. You'll place that kraken card on top of the card that is numbered here. So this is number 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'll place the kraken card right here. Next, all of the players now get to bid on whether I'm going to complete this adventure or not. They will take their tokens. Each one has a token in their color, and they'll place it either on I, yes, I will succeed, or nay, I won't succeed. If they bet correctly, then at the end of the turn, they will get here a gold coin. If they bet wrong, they'll have to turn in a gold coin to the stash here. Next step, in case you have wandered all the way into Kraken territory, you'll now turn around the Kraken. The Kraken card then tells you either that you have to do something now that you've turned it around, or it could also be that it tells you to do something once you get there on your adventure. I have here the German version of the game, so don't you worry if you have your version, be that now in English or in any other language, then you'll be able to read the card and figure out what to do. It's rather self-explanatory. Now it is time for us to go on our adventure. For this, we take all the dice that we have. Since we've already played this a few rounds, because you can see all these boats have already progressed, I now have a mix of white, red, and black dice. You will start the game only with the white dice, but during the game you'll gain more and more of the red and the black dice. Now, to start your adventure, you have to roll the dice. As you can see, I rolled a bunch of skulls and a bunch of nothings. Now, to succeed on a card here, you will always have to have a dice for it that has a skull on it. So technically, I already have a skull for every single card here, but we don't have to go that far yet. We'll start with the first card. As you can see here, the first card here has a skull with a number 1. What that means is to succeed on this part of the adventure, I'll have to put here a dice with a skull. One skull here. I succeeded in this step. Because I succeeded here, I can now take the bonus up here, which is that I get an extra card. I'll take that card from the deck, I'll put it in my hand. And I move on to this step here. Now I can decide, I'm just going to put one of these dice here and continue my adventure. However, I feel like I actually want to re-roll some dice. For one, the black die here has 1, 2, and 3 skulls on this die, and I'm hoping to actually get more than just 1 skull. I want to have 2 or 3. So I want to roll this again. This one, the black die, doesn't have any of the blank sides. The red one still has 2 blank ones, while the white ones actually have 4 blank ones. So if I want to re-roll some of the dice, I can take one of my dice, put it away. I will not be able to use that die anymore during my turn. And then I take whatever dice I want to re-roll. So in this case, I'll take the black ones plus 2 white ones, and I'll roll them again. I got a little more lucky with this one, but not much more lucky with the white ones. Now, for the moment, I decide I will not re-roll any further. I'll take the black dice and put the black die now on the discard. This is a skull with a number 2. I have here also 2 skulls, so I succeed on this card too. Now, since I succeeded here on this card again, I can get the bonus from this card, which is either a gold coin, or I get to re-roll some of my dice. I decide I want to re-roll these 2 dice again. Again, I was unlucky. Now, this one that has the Kraken on it, I already had to do whatever it said down here at the very beginning, because this says when you turn it over, you have to do something. I completely ignore the card that's underneath. This one doesn't have to be played, and we move on directly to this card here. I still would like for one of these dice to also be a skull, so I put away another die, and I roll this again. Again, I was unlucky. It's not going to get better, because now I would actually have to put this away to roll it, so can't do anything anymore. I put this here, and as you can see, now I don't match. Here's a skull with a 2, I only have 1 skull. However, I have cards here that also have skulls up here. So I decide that I will put one of these skulls next to my skull on the die. Now I have 2 skulls for these 2 skulls, and I succeed on this part of the adventure too. So what I do is I get here another coin where I get to re-roll something. So I'll take a gold coin. Once you've succeeded on this one, then you can actually take that card and put it on the discard pile next to the adventure cards. Lastly, I have here the treasure card left, and luckily I still have a die. And you do need a die for every card if you want to succeed on a card. You can't succeed just with the cards in your hand. So I have a card, and now I have to match 3. Luckily, I have 3 more skulls in my hand, so I can put them down here, and now I have succeeded. In case I succeeded, I can now turn this card around, and I will get all the bonus that it says. In this case, it says I can pick up a card from the deck, I can move my boat by 1, and I can take another die that I'll place with the other dice. Now, if I hadn't been able to finish my treasure card here, let's say I didn't have any of these cards here in my hand, and I wouldn't be able to get up to 3, what happens then is that I have to return the treasure back here to the deck of the different treasures unseen, and I get a capsize card here, because we just capsized. And you turn around and you look at this, and again here there's German text, but you'll see yours in your language, and it explains to you what you have to do now because you failed. Now in our case, we have succeeded because we have put down 2 cards, and we've won that round. It is now time for the other players to get their bonus if they have bet correctly. If they bet on me succeeding, here then this player here will now get a gold coin. For whoever bet against me, they would actually have to return a gold coin. And in turn, for whoever bet against me and I still made it, I will get a gold coin. So if the other 2 players had decided to bet on nay, I would have gained 2 gold coins because I succeeded. Please note that you cannot split the skulls on your dice. So if you have cards that are only with 1 skull, and you have dice that have more than 1 skull, you'll still have to put a die here and a die here. Also note that at any point during your adventure, you cannot only use your cards to add up the skulls here to succeed, you can also discard a card to get the bonus that it says. So in this case, I could have discarded this card, and here it has a die. I would have taken that die, I would have rolled it right away, and I could have used it if I had been a little more lucky here. It's the same here if you have a card with a gold coin or a reroll. If you discard it, then you can do whatever it says. Now, the final step here in this adventure is that you take all your dice back, but before you clean up the adventure cards onto the discard pile, make sure that you also take this golden coin if you've made it past the 3rd field. Should you make it to the 6th field and succeed, you always have to succeed on this field, then you get 2 gold coins. And if you even make it to 7 and you succeed here, you get 3 more gold coins. You'll put all the cards from here on the discard pile, and you now get to exchange dice. You will only be able to go into the next round with 7 dice at the most. But you have the opportunity now to exchange 2 white ones to a red one, or 2 red ones into a black one. And you can do this as many times as you want to, so technically I could also turn in 2 times 2 white dice for 2 red dice, and then turn the 2 red dice into a black one right away. I now have 6 dice. Please note that we have 7 fields here for adventures. So having 7 dice is what you definitely need if you want to go and do a full adventure here. Please note that there's also a limited supply of black dice and red dice, so if there are none left, that's unfortunate for you. The game ends when the first player reaches here, the end of the track up here. That player then gets one of those blue gems worth 5 points. The turns continue until we get back to the player before the starting player. So there's the opportunity for another player to also reach the end of the track. They can also pick up a blue gem in that case. Before we then start scoring, every player can check their hand cards, see if they still have hand cards that have coins on them, like these cards here, for example. And if you still have some of these cards with coins on them, then you can turn them into coins so that you have extra points, because as you remembered from the game objectives section, each gold coin is worth 1 victory point. And that's it then. At that point, you count all the gems that you have, plus the gold coins, and whoever has the most wins. There is an alternative in case all of the treasure cards up here are gone. Then the game ends automatically right away. But I haven't really seen that happening. And here are a few hints for the first game. Don't be cheap on the very first step where you can buy more cards. You'll need the cards to really succeed with some of your cards in the adventure. Because you can't really always rely on what you roll. Some of the dice, of course, are better, but until you really get to the black dice, or even just the red dice first, it's going to take a little bit. And what I like to do is that on the very first 1 or 2 turns, I'll try to get 5 or 7 treasure cards. Why is that? Because it's more likely that you'll get some gems on those. The disadvantage is that these cards also make your boats move a little further, meaning that on the next turns, you're going to have to go further with your adventure because now your boat has moved too far. But if you don't get the blue gems from these treasures, it's tricky to really get to a lot of points. So you'll want to do some of these 5s and 7s as long as you can. And another problem that you will have is the further on you go with your boats, the trickier it will get to actually have 7 dice that then have a skull on them, but you need a dice for every single card to succeed. So that will be quite tricky. And on top of that, then you will have to have some of the cards in your hand to pay for the cards that are here on the adventure. And sometimes you won't be able to really make it all the way. So the longer your adventure will get, the more likely you are to pick a 3, because otherwise you can't really succeed anymore. Now, it depends a little bit on which Kraken cards and which capsize cards you use. Some of them can be harder than others. You'll see that in the game setup section afterwards. But you'll see that if you do the simple ones, they don't really hurt you so much, and then it's easy. But if you have the hard ones, you'll actually lose something if you capsize. So yes, of course, it's about pushing your luck, but don't push too hard because you might really lose out on that. Besides that, I think it's very clear that you have to upgrade to red dice and then to black dice if you can. And I don't think there is much more to it. It's a push your luck game. So, as I like to say in these games, go ahead and push your luck. That's part of the game. It's part of the fun. And keep doing it until you fail. Or hopefully you'll succeed as many times as you can. And that's Pirate Tales. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the game. And if you still want to see how to set up the game, stay tuned for the next section. To set up the game, you place the mat in the middle of the table. You'll then take all your adventure cards, those are these here, you shuffle them and put them here as a deck on this side. You also take all the dice, white, red, and black, put them on the side of the table so people can reach them. You also take the gems, the blue gems, the red gems, and the gold coins. You put them in piles to the side. Then you take the treasure cards, you shuffle them, and then you take out 4 cards of each level for a 2-player game, 6 cards for a 3-player game, and 8 cards for a 4-player game. You won't need the rest of the cards. You also have Kraken cards. For the Kraken cards, you'll see here on the bottom, you see that they have different number of swords. If you have just 1 sword, then that's a simple game. If you take the ones with 2 swords, that's medium, and then 3 is difficult. You decide what you want, but I would suggest that the first game is going to be just with the 1 sword. Make sure that you have at least 7 of the Kraken cards. Same with the capsize cards. Here you can also see that they actually have swords on the bottom. And here it's suggested that if you take the cards with 1 or 2 swords, that's the family mode. If you take the 2 and 3s, then that's the real pirate mode. That's very difficult. It actually has only difficult and neutral cards, while the 1s are positive cards. And if you want to have fate mode, then you actually take all 3 combinations. The capsize cards all go down here, while the Kraken cards are here. Then we'll place as many diamonds as we have players here on the end part of your track up here. Each player then gets this coin with the color of their boat. Their boats go here onto Tortuga, so up here. You can actually set them up straight, but you won't see them properly in the video, so I'll put them away this way around. Each player also gets 5 of the white dice, and so on. And you'll give each player 2 cards of the adventure cards for their hand. They'll also get 3 coins here. And then we're ready to go.